unusual night, so we'll see. Joey should come on because he's my husband. So he's usually the first one on. We'll see. Him and Danielle usually have a fight to see who gets on first.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's very sweet.
Mm-hmm. And if there's a Preds game tonight, we'll have like less turnout too.
Oh.
Hi, Dana. Hi, Ellen. Dana, I'm just talking about you with somebody tonight, so I can't wait to fill you in. Hi, Dwayne. Happy Sunday to you guys. Dana, how's the weather in Houston? She's in Texas. Hi, Lacey. Hi, Brian. There's Joey. You were like the sixth one on. Honey, slipping. And Brian, you're still in Florida, so I'm sure your weather is better than ours. We're cold and rainy here. It is funny saying husband. It is, Dana. Mm-hmm. I've gotten much better at it. I love saying it, actually. And Helen here is going to be saying husband in a month.
Fiance for now.
Helen said fiance when I got here. Hi, Angie.
It's the correct way.
But she's getting married. What's your date?
March 30th.
March 30th, so less than a month. And it's her big day, too.
Yes.
Hey, Ashley. Joey's in the doghouse. That's right, Lacey. It's cold. We don't know what to do here in Houston. We don't feel sorry for you, Dana.
It's probably colder here.
I know, probably. What is it, 32 here, I think,
it's
maybe?
Very chilly.
Yeah.
Very chilly.
We might have snow. Hi, Rachel. You are here. Thank you for being here. And I haven't forgotten you about this week, so I'll be in touch. I'm so excited to have you guys on this special Sunday edition of Hash It Out with Heather. And I am actually, probably noticed in the background, I'm in a new location. I'm at Helen's house.
Yes.
Oh, Brian hung out at the pool today. Whatever, Brian.
Oh, where is Brian?
He's in Florida.
Oh.
I know. Okay, we're really all jealous. But yeah, I came to Nashville, not far from my house, but really close to the studio, actually.
Yes.
To Helen's house. She invited me over to change it up a little bit and have some quiet time from all the children at my house. There's all 4 of them are there, so, and a dog. Hi, Katie. So I thought it might be nice for me to come somewhere different and have some peace and change it up. Although Helen has 2 dogs, so you might hear some barking here at some point. But anyway, thanks for being here. And I am super excited to talk to Helen, interview Helen about something that we all deal with a lot. First of all, I think I mentioned in my post that Helen is, and you can help me out here,
sure,
a marriage and family therapist, counselor. She specializes in anxiety with women, which we all deal with, all of us, unfortunately too much, although I'm excited to talk to Helen about what this really means. Mm-hmm. What else can you tell them about your background, your education, where you are now?
Yeah, so I got undergrad, was at the University of Georgia, and waited until my late 20s to go back to grad school. And I went to Tribeca, which is in Nashville, and got my master's in marriage and family therapy, which, side note a little bit, is what my mom does. Okay, so
she's been around it her whole life.
Been around it my whole life. Used to tell my mom to stop like therapizing me, which is a word apparently.
It is now.
It is now. It's a verb. And so I'm working on getting my license in the state of Tennessee, and so that process, the fastest you can do it is 2 years. Mine will probably be closer to 3 years.
Okay.
But I work a lot with women ages 18 to about 45 tends to be, because who I see, it's so important to have a strong connection with your therapist. That is first and foremost, to make change, to feel comfortable, to feel safe.
For sure.
So lots of anxiety, depression, and then premarital.
Yeah, all good stuff. And we all need it. And I feel like we should all start therapy early on in our childhood, actually, and stay in it. And because we're just complicated beings, and our lives are so complicated, and what we deal with as we're growing up, and then even as adults, it's crazy. I've been in therapy on and off for a long time as an adult, and Joey and I are big advocates of it, doing it for our relationship and our marriage, and believe that we should be in it now before things get harder or things come up that we don't know how to handle. And we're a blended family, which is even more challenging. And we're actually going to a couples retreat in Northern California in July for a week that was given to us as a gift. It's going to be, the whole week's around marriage and how to communicate and how to deal with life struggles. And I'm super excited that we are on the front end of, we all need that.
Oh my gosh, what an amazing gift that someone gave y'all.
Yeah, so it was
Yes.
super, super special, and we're excited to do that. And I think we'll probably always have some type of therapy in our life, because we can't handle it on our own.
Mm-mm.
We don't unless we're educated, and even those of you that are educated, I think it's even more, especially when it becomes intimate, when it's your own life.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've done a lot of exploration on personal development and dealing with stress, and I still can't figure out things in my life, and I'm still messing up every day. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's super important that we all are aggressive in that, and believe it or not, we can all afford it. There's some element, there's some way for you to afford it. So don't let that be a reason. Don't let finances be a reason that you don't get counseling or therapy, because I'm sure you can speak more to this, but there are so many different avenues to get help with different levels of different costs. So don't ever let that be the reason. Hi, Anna. Hi, Anna's my cousin.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Sonia, and Dee Dee joined, and hi, Kelly. Kelly's summer cold, right? Anyway, if you're just joining on, this is Helen, and I'm super excited to talk to her about anxiety. And let's start. If you guys have questions, I'll keep following. So Helen would be happy to answer any of your questions as we're going along, okay? So feel free to post them. This is a safe place. Everything's going to be confidential to the standpoint that it can be, being it's on a Facebook group, okay? But we're so fortunate to have Helen and her expertise, educational-wise, but also with her life experiences. So don't hesitate to ask a question. So I'd love to start with like what help us. Anxiety is such a big term, and I think there's so much we can think kind of falls under it, and it probably all does. But recently, it's something I was talking to you about, and even Leslie, and I think you said it too. One of y'all said, Heather, that's anxiety, and I'm like, oh, it is. So talk about, what is anxiety? How will it show up in our lives?
Yeah. So like you said, it is a large umbrella. It comes in many, many forms and facets, and we're all such unique individuals, but I would say some of the bigger things I typically see are kind of mind racing. So the inability to kind of stay present. So you're in a moment and you really don't know what's going on around you. Someone's trying to talk to you, but you don't really know what they're saying, because your mind is already somewhere in the present, or excuse me, in the future. And you are just reeling, like, what do I have to do? Is this, maybe you're even thinking about what you just said 5 seconds ago. And so I'm not really listening to you. I'm just wondering if what I said to you is okay, if you're okay that I said it, how did you take it? So that's not the present either. That is me thinking about the past and how I was, and if you're okay, and gosh, did I say it right?
Feelings.
Yes. So I would say the inability to stay present is again a large umbrella of anxiety. But what I tend to see in my room and as a therapist is, gosh, you can't stay focused on what's going on, because there's so much worry, or there's so much fear about the future, or worry or fear about something that's already happened. And how did that affect someone else? And are they going to be angry with you or upset with you? Is this interaction you had with a boss or a coworker or even a friend, like, how did it come across? And so racing heart, and when you try to lay down to fall asleep, just those racing thoughts again.
That's where it came up to me. I was talking about how when I pray sometimes, or actually most of the time, I'm praying and I interrupt my prayer. Like, so I'm like, oh my God, I got to do that. I forgot to do that. And it was either you or Leslie that said, Heather, that's anxiety, because I can't even stay present in my prayers. I'm interrupting myself because I feel like there's so much to do. And like, even like talking to Joey about getting a house, and the thought of having to do something that has a remodel, or I said to him, I get overwhelmed. I'm like, I can't put anything else on my plate. There's too much. That's anxiety. So it's me being fearful that I'm not going to do things well. I'm going to mess something up. There's too much on my plate. What am I not doing because I'm focused on this? It's terrible. And I'm missing out on opportunities with my kids, with my new husband, because I'm so worried about what all I have to do and getting it all done. And that's anxiety. And it causes me stress.
Yes, which makes it so much harder to get the things done that are already
you don't
on your
get
plate.
it done, or you don't get it done well.
Right.
Or you never, and you know what? Not never, that's exaggeration. I often will miss out on a great opportunity right in front of me to be with my kids, be with my husband, to enjoy the sky, to enjoy something beautiful, because I'm worried about what's next or what I'm not doing. And that, I hate that. I don't want to get to the end of my life and go, God, I missed out on so much because I was so worried about what I wasn't doing, what I didn't do, what I should have been doing, or all that I didn't get done.
Yeah, and sitting in that is really tough, but I hope that we get to talk about that tonight, because
I want to.
It is a very learned skill that takes a lot of time, and some days you'll be great at it and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I did it.
But I think what you just said, like my mother was this way. So I learned, I'm just not to blame her, because now I'm 48 years old. I have to take some ownership in it, which I am. But my mother was the same way, and it upset me as her child, because I felt like she was always doing something else and she wasn't present with me.
Yes.
And now here I am doing it.
Yes. And so also to speak into that just a little bit is look at what was praised for you. And this can be for all of us, like what your parents really, you got, whether it was your parents or a caretaker, but what you got acknowledged for, like what was good in your house. And so if getting things done, accomplished was praised, then that is what you are now good at. So that's okay.
Interesting. Oh, yeah. That's so interesting. Yeah.
But if being still and being creative or gosh, going outside to draw clouds was praised in your home, then that's what you would do.
Wow.
So it's a habit. It's a mindset. It's also DNA. It's all of it swirled together. But you can
even right now, I feel overwhelmed by you saying that. So now what do I do? I'm like, oh my God, where do I start? I've screwed up, right, Kelly? Oh my God, I've screwed up so much. Now what do I do?
No, so noticing it and being aware of it is monumental. It is pivotal in ever making the change to begin with.
How that kind of leads me to a great question. So how do we determine, first of all, that we are anxious, and then second of all, where it's coming from?
Yeah. So again, everyone's just going to be slightly different, but what I tend to see is either, going back to your family of origin, which we call your FOO. So if your FOO really praised and you got accolades for doing and making good grades, or it's very like achievement based, and getting more done was a sense of accomplishment, and that can be where it comes from. It can be from work. It can be work is really stressful and you've got high achieving people around you, and your superior recognizes and acknowledges the more you get done. Okay, so it comes from there. It also comes from within. There's a sense of accomplishment within ourselves for a lot of people, that today was good. We will judge the day. It is good or bad or better or worse because of how much I got done.
Oh, it's preach. How many of you guys love checking off your list? Crossing it off, checking it off, cross it off. How many of you rewrite your list every single day? Because I want to see how much listen, I could have scratched off or crossed off things that were not even important. But because I scratched them off, I'm like, oh, look what I did. Now, was any of it really taking me towards my goal?
Right.
A lot of times, no. But the feeling of looking at my paper and having all this highlighter, all this scratch off was so rewarding.
Yeah.
But if I went back in and said, okay, how much of these activities were really taking me to the right place for my family, aligned with my values, then it's different. Did they do that? Or did I just want to see a bunch of things highlighted off?
Right. And so and it sounds like maybe you have more of like a type A personality, because you like that list and you like to check it off. So
I do.
Yeah. Being mindful of,
hi, Carmen.
Being mindful of doing goal setting first, or value setting first. So once you've got that, don't take away your list. That's great. You love it.
Yeah.
And that's such a sense of accomplishment for you, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But make it with the intention of, I've got my value set up first, and my value or my priority is family time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, how different would your list look?
Oh yeah. I love that. I would actually, you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to write my value. We should all make a value list first on one half of our paper.
Yes.
And then we write our to-do list
based on that.
Let's say, okay, maybe even like segment out your to-do list and say, what has to be done? How much of this aligns with my values? Now, some things just have to be done. You have to go to the grocery store. You have to take your kids to the doctors. But that's a great idea to put. I keep talking to them about what are your values, and your goal aligns with your values, and do we even know what our values are? Do we even know who we want to be? So I actually love the idea. Maybe we'll do that in my Get Curious workshop. We'll actually kind of create something that we can actually use that has our values on one side. So every time we make our to-do list, we can see, is this in line with my values? Because there's so much that we do because we're people pleasers, because we want to get things done, because we feel anxious, we want to get things done, but
Yes.
none of it aligns with our values.
Yes.
I love that. That
Yes.
was great. I already got a takeaway. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and you're right though, because there is a sense of, gosh, I am the best achieving based procrastinator. So I will do a bunch of things to procrastinate, but it's not like I'm sitting around. It's like, but I'm
so busy.
Yeah. I'll just, vacuum 3 times or do the dishes. And I'm like, okay, but was any value or any goal of this week to have a cleaner house? The answer is no, it's not.
Yeah.
It was to make sure I sit down and spend time in the Word. Is to make sure I sit down and spend time on my gratitude journal. Mm-hmm. Is it to make sure I went to the grocery store so that I was able to cook? Mm-hmm. Did I schedule my clients in a fashion that I'm not late home at 8 p.m. every night, because that's not healthy for me. Mm-hmm. It's healthy for someone else, great, but I know it's not healthy for me.
Or for your future marriage relationship.
Right. Exactly.
Did I work out because I'm a better person when I work out? Yeah.
Yes.
I love all that. Many of us, including me, y'all heard last week, think I didn't even realize that I had anxiety. I thought, and a lot of us have that word is like, oh, I don't even like saying that word. It has a negative connotation. But, if we don't acknowledge our anxiety, our anxiousness, our stress, I've learned, and from both personal experience, but also from being with people like you and Dr. Leslie, was that it comes out in different ways. We're pretending to hide it. We're pretending like not very well. I thought I was hiding it. I didn't realize actually that I was stressed, which was brought out last week with Leslie. So, if we don't, how do we know, or how does it come out sideways? What are different ways that anxiety, it shows itself, presents itself in our life?
Yeah. So that's a great question. And again, can come out in so many different ways for different people. But again, what I see most of, and so I'm going to stop saying that, but that is where I'm coming from, like as a professional and who I sit with, is where my experience and my knowledge comes from. And really for people, what happens is, again, are you laying down at night and when it's time to go to sleep, you are reeling? So that's a big one. Mm-hmm. So you have pushed anxiety aside during the day because, you're busy. How convenient. And so you can go apply your nerves or your mind to something because you're busy in that moment. But the moment you try to stop mm-hmm. and be still mm-hmm. and to just go, gosh, my mind and my body are so tired. But instead of that, it is reeling on the next day. What you've done that day, was it good enough? How did you do it?
Not get it done?
Did you not get it done? What's on the docket for tomorrow? How did you interact with said people during the day? Are they okay? Are they angry? Are they mad? How did they think I was? Another big one is, let's say I've got some anxiety around one task, like one thing in life, or one relationship in life, and I choose to not press into that. I choose to ignore it. Mm-hmm. A lot of people's anxiety will then flood over into other relationships that there was no previous angst, there was no worry, everything was fine, but because I didn't deal with it over here with this person, I'm now anxious about a lot of other interactions with other people.
Oh yeah. I bet that happened a lot in relationships and marriages, and it comes out.
Yes.
What about physically, like with stomach issues or headaches or?
Yeah. So a lot of people, it resonates with them that they don't their chest is so tight that they don't get a full deep breath, like a big belly breath. And so even now, like I work a lot with people, and you just put your hand on your belly, and we're gonna just
breathe.
sit in session, and we're gonna breathe. And so you put one on your heart, one on your tummy, and you just make sure both rise. And you count, and then you hold. When you've got all the air in you can, you just hold it, and you exhale all the way out. So a lot of it is slowing down, and
take a note of where you are in that moment.
And it takes slowing down to be more aware. Otherwise, we're just racing to the next thing.
And it catches up with us. Yes. I don't know if I said this last week, but I've had I didn't know at the time, but I've had a couple anxiety attacks, panic attacks. 6 or 7 years ago. And what was interesting was after a lot of that had happened, and I may be repeating myself, but I remember in the moment, my heart was just racing. I'm like, I can't believe I can't catch my breath. I mean, I wasn't like super scared, like I need to go to the ER, but I'm like, why can't I catch my breath? And when I talked to my therapist, I said, it's weird. And I said, I feel really good. I mean, I've kind of figured out where I'm going. I've dealt with the issues with my ex-husband, and I finally had a place where I was making some money, and like things feel like I'm in a good place. Why am I feeling like this? Because I wasn't stressed in that moment. I wasn't feeling anxiety in that moment because things were actually, and she said to me, Heather, your body, you finally are slowing down, or you're finally in a place, and now it's
catching up
to you. And she said, so it doesn't matter. Oftentimes she said panic attacks, anxiety attacks will happen when you're actually feeling like you're okay.
Because you've got space to hold it.
But you think like when you're in the middle of the stress and, oh my God, what am I going to do? I don't have any money. He's gone, I'm by myself. That's when I'm going to have a panic attack.
Yes.
So not when I feel like, okay, I'm good.
Yes.
So that's normal.
So you were it seems like you were just like in a major survival mode. That's what I
was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it had hit you during the time where it was like what in your body and in your mind was survive or not, you weren't able to even acknowledge or appreciate like the amount of stress you were in. So once your body registered and your mind registered, I'm going to survive.
Yeah.
That's when it hit. Because it's a very animalistic thing, right? Because like I'm not going to have a massive anxiety attack like while the tiger is chasing me. I'm going to run for my life. Once I realize I'm safe.
That's so interesting.
Then I'm gonna be like, almost.
I just got it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big like wave that comes. But
that is such an aha moment because I didn't realize that, but you're right. I was totally in survival mode. I think when we go through that with her, like when my mom was even dying, I had 4 months with her, and I was like, okay, I got to take care of her. I got to go to the doctor. I got to take care of her bills. I got to give her medicine. I never even really grieved during those 4 months because. Even though I know she was terminal, because I got to do stuff. I got stuff to do. And then when she died, I was like, oh my God. And I just had this hole. And the same with when my ex-husband, you're right. I went into, okay, I got to take care of my kids. I got to find a job. I got to find a house. Where are we going to live? Where are they going to go to school? I had no time to grieve. I had no time to be scared. I had no time. I just had to go. And you're right. Then I was like, okay, oh my God, I can't believe what I just did.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a great aha moment.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Oh, yeah.
There's power in just knowing. There's power in just knowing what I was feeling and that it was and why that happened. And I'm sure many of you can relate. If you can, feel free to share or make comments. But hi, Danielle. Hi, Kendall. But that was huge. That was such a survivor.
Yeah.
I bet many of you can, Danielle, Kendall, I know you guys can relate to that as well when we go into that survival mode, when we're in a time of struggle or trial or tragedy that we get in that way.
Yeah. And it is, what a great, like when you think about it, like what a great coping skill that you have.
I was just going to say, can anxiety be good?
It absolutely can be good when we need it. So gosh, in a time where you are wondering where income is going to come in and how you're going to feed yourself and how you're going to feed your boys and how you're going to house and have a roof over your head. If that anxiety of the fear of, am I going to have food and shelter for my family? Yeah, that's awesome. Wow. What a great thing that you were able to do. And you didn't wallow, you didn't cave in, you persevered, you had resilience, and you did it. And then we have to put that tool down because you don't need it anymore. And so I would almost say it is anxiety, but it's also just like survival. Like you were in survival mama bear mode. And so, yeah, that is an amazing skill and tool set to have. And then to know that it's okay to sometimes put that down. And that's the trick. That is so hard because once we pick something up and we find that it works for us. So anxiety can work for you sometimes, but then when is it not working for us? Like when is it overactive and I'm not sleeping at night, or it's overactive and instead of wondering how an interview went and I'm sort of anxious about an interview, now I didn't deal with that. And it's kind of flooded into like my friendships or my romantic relationship. And I'm like, that's interesting. I was never anxious about those before, but I didn't deal with my anxiety in another place. So yeah.
So when we're in that place of feeling incredibly anxious and overwhelmed and we don't know how to get out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do when you're in that moment of, I am so scared and so much fear and I don't even know where to go. I don't even know what to do.
Yeah. So if you were to come into session, come into therapy, like I'm going to slow you down. Like the cadence of my voice, the tone is going to just be quieter. And we are going to allow that is a space for you to just unpack a little bit and to just notice, what is it like for you to feel this? Gosh, you might see my chest is pounding, my thoughts are racing. And so I'm going to go, okay, one of the things I like to do is tell me what you think your anxiety is telling you. So we're going to personify the anxiety. Because if we can press into it and sit in it and be curious about what in the world it is trying to save us from, then we can more effectively and actively cut through it, sit with it, and kind of be more reasonable with it. So a lot of what I do is, anxiety is obviously a feeling. So when your feeling gets really high and almost overwhelming, you feel flooded and it is just all anxiety. We want to level back out your cognitive self. So cognitions are your
what
thoughts.
Does that mean? Yeah.
So we want to bring some thought into it, like your brain. So your feelings are just all swirled and they get really big. And you'll notice you don't have a lot of like wise mind in you at that point. Like you don't have a lot of those thoughts that are going to be your more logical, sensible thoughts. You're going to be a lot of feelings based. So we want to bring you back to level. And those work inversely. So if I'm only cognitive and I'm not feeling at all, I'm going to almost seem robotic. You're going to be like, wow, that was really tragic, but you're talking to me like it's someone else's life, or you get it from a story. Okay, so that's not health either, but just somewhere in the middle where we're having
What about
both.
those of us that subconsciously are comfortable living in our anxiety? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think that exists. That we don't know how to live outside of our anxiety. So that's, even if we don't realize it consciously, I think our brain can be like, this is what I know. I know how to live in this, or we think we know how to live in this place. We almost don't want to try to get out of it because this is what I know.
Because you get stuff done, it works for you well in some capacity.
And if we get out of that, maybe we have to really deal with something really hard.
Yes.
And I don't want to.
Yes. And so that's a great question. So if you came in, we would explore what the benefit of you living in your anxious self is. Tell me what that's like. And so I would get you to go into as much detail as you could. Like, gosh, you work out harder. Ooh, great. I'm not saying you, I'm just saying in general, maybe someone has a fear of almost like eating badly or something that, wow, we'll see them. So then how does that affect your grocery store shopping? How does that affect your eating food when you go out to eat? Okay. So we would press into like what it's like the benefits of what it's like to live in that anxious space. And gosh, it's really fun to check things off my to-do list. I feel very accomplished in that. So it's really hard to want to set that down. Okay. So I would ask, what is your anxious mindset? What is your anxious thought? Like, what is it trying to tell you? So is it trying to tell you, gosh, if you put this side of you down, you're going to be a slacker. If you put this side down, you're going to go gain 20 pounds just like, in a couple weeks.
Nobody will like me.
No one will like me.
I won't be successful.
My success is based off me getting things done. And what if I get less done? Okay. So we would really just press into the questions of, what is your anxiety? Like, what keeps you there? And depending on those answers is how we kind of break through that.
Okay.
So for everyone's, it's a little different, but it's interesting. Everyone's anxiety might be slightly different. Obviously all of our stories are really different.
From a different place. Yeah.
Yes. But health and healing kind of looks the same, no matter where you came from and what your story is. So yeah.
If any of y'all have places where you feel anxious, feel free to post them. Carmen asked, how often should you reevaluate your values? Oh, that's a good one, Carmen. I don't know if there's a real answer to that, except for I know for me, I think at least once a year, because your life can change so much, especially if you're really paying attention to it and you're very committed to personal development. Like I know you are, Carmen, and like I know I am. So as I get to know myself better, learn what's important to me and really investigate that throughout the year, I want to make sure each year at least I sit down and go, okay, what is important to me? And as when you had your young kids, Carmen, you might have had one set of values. You and the person you want to be should not really change that much unless your faith changes or something like that, where you find Christ, and that's certainly going to change your values. But I know you're a grandmother now, so I'm sure your grandchildren are important. But I don't know if you have any other input, but I think it's always important, I would say, in our quiet time to be very intentional about once a quarter, once a year, every 2 times a year, to really say, what is important to me? Who do I want to be? Am I being that person? So I don't think doing it too many times a year is too much, but I definitely think you should do it once a year because we're evolving. And would you agree? And
so I'm a therapist, so my
Yeah.
answer is going to be more in the form of kind of reflecting that back to you, Carmen. Like, how often are you noticing that you're thinking about your values, and what does that sound like in your mind? And how do you notice that you're contemplating your different values? If you have a list, like let's say you make a list once a year, let's say you look back over that, whether it's once a week or once every 6 months or whenever you decide to do that, what comes up for you? Does that list still resonate with you? Does it seem really weird that you even have that on your list?
Yeah.
Then I'd say it's time to reevaluate them. But that's such a personal, it really, I would want to know more about you. Like what is even making you come up and question your values? Like if you have them written somewhere, which is the first step, writing them down.
And how many of you actually have your values written? That, and I've been talking about that, and I didn't do it for the longest time. And I think we have to start by writing down our values. And some of y'all are going through major transformation right now. I would say do it more often because you're like Ellen, you've had such transformation, honey. And so I would say it's so important to stay in touch with your values and making sure you're making decisions that align with your values. And are my values where I want them to be? So I think especially those of us that are really committed to living our best life and are really taking steps to understand ourselves personally, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that we should be constantly asking ourselves that. But I love that you said put it back on, ask ourselves where it's coming from.
What even makes you come up with I need to reassess my values? Yeah. Because so I do a weekly plan. And so if I'm noticing, if I have my values written out, which I kind of do a gratitude journal, which kind of plays into my values and all that good stuff. But if I keep noticing, if I keep noticing that my weekly goals are not aligning with my values, then something is not aligned, and we definitely want alignment. And so maybe it does take me going back and looking at my values, or does it take going back and looking through my week and going, yikes, there's some discrepancy here.
Yeah. She said, Ellen said, I've never thought about that. Anxiety really is feeling based.
Yeah.
Hey, Bonnie. Let me see if there's any other questions here, and then we'll keep going. Yeah, once you're good, Harmon. I'm sure, Carmen, you're asking for some other people on this live because I know you know a lot of these women and men that are on here too. And so, like I said, I think it also depends on, like you said, why we're asking that, but also where are we in our life?
Yeah, and it's good to just have the list. And anytime you want to go back and go, does this still resonate with me? It's so up to your own life and like what's going on. Because if you're noticing, I would almost say it's not values that change as much as like your more like daily, weekly habits. I think that is more shifting than values.
How much of our anxiety, maybe it's all of it, is fear-based?
That's a good question. I would say a majority of it is it's projection, and because that's an interesting question. It'd be hard to answer that just blanket statement. A lot of it is going to be fear of the unknown, but also a lot of times our anxiety will, if I have a conversation with you and I have really bad anxiety and I just don't know how that went for some reason, my anxiety is going to project a lot of things on to what you said that are like meanings of things that you said that have maybe don't hold any water. But my anxiety has literally just assigned meanings to you. So I don't know if some people call that fear and some people just call that like assumption. And it is fear-based, but it's also just a lack of using your cognitive mind. So it's just so emotion. Yeah. Like, oh, you didn't, you didn't say bye to when you said bye, your bye was, the cadence of your bye was weird, or your tone was weird.
Joey, can you really dive to that? I'm like, what's wrong? You're not answering me the way you usually answer me. Yeah. I'm having anxiety because I think you're being cold. What's going on?
Yes.
But there's also anxiety. Like a lot of us talked about this. Like if I'm going to fly first of all, when I fly, I have anxiety, much less now than I used to have. Came from a fear of dying. And now I'm better, but now when I fly without my kids, so that's like to me like a typical case of I'm anxious. I'm having anxiety because I'm flying without my kids. I'm going to die and I'm leaving behind. Or then there's the anxiety that's not so obvious, which is what we talked about when my mind's racing and I can't, I can't pray because I'm interrupting myself. But the anxiety of I'm scared to fly because I'm afraid of losing my kids. Even that is, I'm not really scared to fly. I'm scared of something happening and leaving my
it
kids.
Could be anything.
And then to really dive into, why am I afraid of that? Because I'm afraid of what will happen to my kids. Even that becomes so much deeper when you really dive into where that fear is coming from. Obviously, I'll miss my kids, but I'm really worried about them. So it's interesting how many layers are behind anxiety and fear.
Yes, and then what is even more just convoluted and muddled is when we start to judge our anxiety. Gosh, that was so stupid. Why was I even worried about that? Ooh. So
why was I?
What did you just? How did being nasty to yourself and rude to yourself? How did that affect your anxiety? Chances are not well.
Yeah, made it worse.
Because I'm going to now beat myself up for something that I was fearful about or that I had a big emotion about and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing too that we work a lot on is learning to notice without judgment. So what would it be like for you just to notice that going into the social setting or getting on a plane is it causes a feeling of, and so let's dive into the feeling. What are your thoughts? What does your body feel like? So removing the judgment is such an important piece because as soon as we judge something, whether it's about someone else or ourselves, it just adds another layer of just muddled, just crud.
Beating yourself up for that.
Just beating yourself, because what does that do?
It's like I always say, I ate bad. Now I feel bad that I ate bad. Now I feel tired. So now I'm going to drink and eat some more. Now I feel really guilty about that. I can't believe I'm doing that. And it's just like this same with anxiety. I can't believe I'm so anxious about that. That was so stupid. I'm fine. And now I'm calling myself stupid.
Right. Yeah. And so judgment just makes everything. It's another layer of emotion.
Yeah.
That we have to kind of backpedal and go back over and go, hang on. So one of my things I love to do with my clients is I will help reflect the story they just told me, the experience they just told me, and I'll give it back to them and I'll go, so what would you say to a friend?
I love that.
That had just told you that story, that had just said, gosh, this was really hard. And I was nervous and I didn't know how that went. And that I was really nasty about because it just went fine. And okay, so if I can give you the story back and ask you, what would you tell a friend? How would you speak into that? It gives us a totally different perspective.
I think we should all do that. When we're beating ourselves up, I think we should say, okay, now if Dee Dee was saying this or Danielle was saying this, how would I respond to them as one of their very good friends and as their mentor? And it would be so different than we respond to ourselves. I think we need to be more intentional about actually separating it out and say, what would I say to my best friend if she said that? If she was like, oh my God, I'm so fat, I'm so can't believe I did that, can't believe I talked to her that way. What would I say to my best friend? It would not be what we say to ourselves. I can promise you that. 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, it would not respond the same. So next to getting therapy, which I think we all, I don't care where you are, we all need it. And if you're in a really great place, you need it because you're going to have problems. You're going to have a struggle. You're going to have trials. So be better equipped to handle it when it comes. But short of coming to see a therapist or come to see you, what are some things we can do? You mentioned earlier, just breathing alone.
Yeah. Oh
so
my gosh.
What are the other things we can do to really try to understand why we're feeling this way, where it's coming from, and how can we start to learn to manage it?
Yes. So first of all would be to sit with yourself and go, I'm going to make a list of how I know I'm anxious. Okay. Well, that's going to be a list that is going to be pivotal because you're going to go, so if I can make this list and I can notice, if you just sit here and you're like, of the last 1 day or 2 days or even week, did I ever notice a time where I felt anxious? Okay, maybe I did. How do I know that's anxiety? Okay, what did my body feel like? How did I notice it? Gosh, maybe I got short of breath. Maybe I got sweaty. Maybe I all of a sudden couldn't listen to the conversation that was going on right in front of me. I just went to this other, where did you go? Where did you start to notice your thoughts went? What did you tell yourself about your anxiety? That's a big one. Did you tell yourself, ooh, bad, no, oh crap, here's anxiety, oh
Yeah.
crap, here's anxiety.
I'm so stupid, I'm having anxiety.
Yeah, and then you get worked up about your anxiety. So
Yeah.
we judge that as it's bad, it's wrong.
Yeah.
So once we have your list and you're going, okay, so this is how I feel anxiety. This is it. Like, honestly, I'll just back up from there. A daily check-in with yourself.
Yeah.
Every single day.
In your mornings.
In your mornings.
Get up early.
It can be at lunch. Like,
Yeah.
that's a good time to
Or
do
at
it, is
night.
before you eat dinner, before you eat lunch, is to go, I'm going to just check in with myself. So if you're having trouble with like what that means, like what that looks like, and you're not sitting in a therapist's office, do your 5 senses.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what each of those answers are, or do mental, physical, and emotional. Break those 3 questions down. They can be one word. They can be, I have clients that are younger, they can be emojis.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can do it on your phone. Like, we do not need this to be like something you spend 15 minutes on. It can be 1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so after you do that, after you check in and just see and notice how you're feeling, take the next minute, y'all, seriously 60 seconds, and just do some deep breathing.
Mm-hmm.
Put one hand, and so that you know you're doing your deep breathing, sometimes I have to unbutton my tight pants, but because they're really tight.
Yeah.
And you just put one hand on your chest and put one hand on your belly. You're going to breathe in, and you're going to
feel
get
both of your hands move.
Yeah, you want that hand on your belly, because a lot of times we're chest breathing, and that just kind of is even worse for anxiety, really.
Yeah.
And so you're going to make sure your hand gets on your belly, goes all the way out until you've gotten as much air as you can. You're going to hold it for like 1 second. And you're going to exhale all the way out. And then after you've exhaled every bit of stale air in there, you're going to hold it for a second and then do it again. And if you can do that for a minute and just concentrate on what you're noticing, the breath going in through your nose and out through your mouth, that is going to bring a stillness and a groundedness that it's going to be life-changing. It just is, because you've checked in with yourself. You've noticed how you're feeling. You've noticed, gosh, so let's say you make your list on a Tuesday and you're like, gosh, that would be anxiety because I made that list earlier about how I know it's my anxiety. This is it. Be curious. Go,
why?
What's my anxiety saying to me? Personify it.
Mm-hmm.
What is my anxiety trying to say? Is it trying to tell me that I will not be loved or liked or accepted if I don't do this?
Mm-hmm.
If that is the case, bring your friend back in. So this all comes full circle. So
yeah.
I'm going to personify my anxiety and say, what are you trying to tell me? Then after my anxiety says, gosh, you're not going to be liked or loved or accepted, I'm going to pretend my friend just told me that exact same thing. And what would I say?
I love that. Those are very real things that we can do. Another thing, I'm not a therapist, and you can correct me, but like someone who's on here, I don't want to say her name because I don't want to, it's her private, but she had a fear of coming to our Christmas party. She doesn't, she's done so great with her physical transformation and her mental transformation. And she came to, she's told me when she got there, I did not want to come. I was so afraid to come. I don't like big social environments, and this is a party and everyone's dancing, and she came anyway. And then she danced. Danielle got on the dance floor and she danced, and she was so glad. She said to me after, I'm so glad I came. So I would think from that, and I know I've done it with myself, oftentimes stepping into her anxiety, stepping through it and doing it anyway. I'm anxious. She was anxious and she said, I'm going anyway. And if she wants to comment, she can, but I know she's glad she did. I know she feels even stronger and more confident because she did, because she was fearful of that. She had anxiety around that. She was anxious and she did it anyway. And she was so glad she did. So I would imagine the next time it'll be easier and easier until it goes away.
Yes. And so that's a great point. So sometimes when we listen to our anxiety, it actually makes it stronger. So if I am, and so to just make that come full circle really quickly, is press into your anxiety and just commit to it. Because if we half commit and we go, well, I'm going to go see my friend who lives on the 22nd floor of so-and-so high rise, but I'm only going to go if I'm on a scale of, if my scale anxiety from 1 to 10, if I'm going to go and my anxiety is at a 5, I'm going to keep going. I'll stay in that elevator and I'm going to go. But if it gets to an 8, I'm going to get off and I'm going to go down all down the stairs. I just can't go. When we do that, when we listen to that anxiety and we feel that immense momentary relief, that makes it stronger. Because you listened to it.
You gave into it.
You gave into it, because nothing is actually going to happen if you just stay in the elevator. It won't. But if we half commit, it actually makes it stronger.
That's good. And Lisa just wrote, I love that, rewrite your script. And I think we should always be doing that. The scripts we want to rewrite, the ones that need to be written. And part of that is listening to your anxiety, listening to where it comes from, being courageous enough to figure out where it's coming from. Because oftentimes we have to go back into some very painful parts in our life to figure out, why does this make us anxious? Why do I need their approval? Why am I afraid of getting on the plane? Why am I worried if someone doesn't like me? Being afraid if someone doesn't like you causes me anxiety. When I have to deal with very difficult situations with conflict as a business owner, with my friends, with my family, it causes me up, because I don't want to let anyone down. I don't want anyone to feel like I hurt them, I disappointed them. And I've gotten so much better, but that causes a lot of anxiety. So I have to figure out, where is that coming from? And I learned it came back from when I was very little. I was like the peacemaker of my family. I wanted everyone to like us. And so I would do whatever I could to make sure that I did things that made people like us. I got good grades. I made sure I was a cheerleader. I made sure that I was popular. or whatever I could do to make sure that. I tried to make sure things were clean, and because I always wanted approval. And that came early on, for wanting people to like my family. And I learn now how it plays in my life now. So it's interesting, but I had to go back to some really painful stuff to figure that out.
When did it start? And then when you didn't press into it, look, it came with you, because it actually worked probably a little bit when you were little, at least in your mind.
It did. I thought it did. Yeah. But now what I thought is completely worked against me. Even as a child, it did.
Right.
Because I made decisions
based on if other people are going to be happy with you.
And sometimes it took me around a really bad path, and I got into some trouble because I wanted people to like me. So it can work both ways.
Right. But it's your idea and your, almost like your relationship to feeding into that. So that's a tool that actually, at least for a little while, seemed to work in your favor. And
then we do it even more because we think it works in our favor.
Right. And then, we have tools that we were given and learned as a child and adolescent and young adult and wherever we are in our lives, that it just sometimes is really great to assess what they are and if they're still working for us, because sometimes they're not, and they just need to be put down, because they did work for a while, but now they're not.
I'm so glad that you just said that. I've heard that many, many times, that things that worked for us as a child when we were trying to protect our family, our mother, our father, our sister, even if there's physical abuse or verbal abuse in some cases. And so we do things to protect, but I'm so glad you just said that, because I know I've heard it multiple times. But then where we are in our life now as adults, it doesn't work, but we've been doing it for so long that we don't realize, okay, no, I need to,
there's a fear
it's not working anymore. Or even just having the awareness of going, why am I still doing this? So I love that. I mean, you've given us some good, I know we need to wrap up, but some good takeaways. I think sitting in your anxious when why am I feeling anxious? Where is this coming from? Not judging it.
Judgment.
Breathing.
So personify it. So sit in it and with awareness and with curiosity. Again, if it helps to put a friend in there, go, I'm just going to think about if my friend was trying to tell me that she felt anxious, how would she describe this? So you're going to go into it with just open-minded, just love for yourself, that you're it's some self-discovery.
Love for yourself.
Yeah. And once you kind of sit in that and kind of discover it a little bit more, ask your anxiety, personify it. What is it trying to tell me? Once we know what is it trying to tell me, we can then add some of that, your brain to it, some of your not emotion to it, but some of your thoughts. Gosh, has that ever happened to me? Did that ever happen more than that one time? Has anyone ever said those words to me? Gosh, a lot of it is just our anxiety tells us things that aren't exactly factual,
but we believe them to be true, or we're afraid they're going to happen, and we start living and reacting, and it hasn't even happened yet.
Yes, and wow, how quickly our lives will become a very small little room when we just react as if our emotion, our anxiety is a fact, and our walls will get very, very small. And I've seen that. It's sad. It's very sad.
Yeah, it's something I was just reading, and we're going to talk about it and Get Curious in my workshop, but is when you have these kind of moments, is to say, what's fact and what am I giving meaning to? And that's super powerful when you actually look at that and go, how much of that did I just give meaning to? And it really, none of it's fact.
Mm-hmm.
And not because I want you to beat yourself up or I want to beat myself up, but
no, it's noticing
it separates it out and go, oh my God, there's like no fact here. I've given meaning to things that haven't even happened yet.
Yes.
It's super powerful. There's so much here, you guys, that I would love to dive into. I mean, Helen has so much more knowledge and so many more tools that we didn't even get into. But if I don't know if you have time, but if y'all have any questions, maybe she can she's got a lot going on. She's got 2 practices and she's getting married in a month. But if she doesn't answer them here, I will make sure she gets them.
Oh, yeah.
If you have any other questions for her specifically, and if there's any articles or anything, Helen, you want to post in here.
Yep.
But also comment here if you want to get with Ellen or talk to Ellen, and I will connect the 2 of you. Is there another way they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I have 2 practices. I have an office in Green Hills and an office at the corner of Old Hickory and Hillsborough Road, and so that's the Brentwood area. And I actually have space in either office right now, and so I'll just give them my work number I'll just give you my email address. How about that? So it's Helen at NashvilleTherapyNow.com, and my name is Helen.
And it's Nashville Therapy Now, NOW.
Yes.com. Yes.
So you can email her there. You can ask some questions here, and Helen or myself, one of us will she'll respond, or I'll get it over to her to respond if it's quick. But this is so much around this. I could have kept talking. We talked almost an hour. So sorry it was so long, but we didn't even get into everything that she has to offer. So, but thank you all for who commented in your questions. Thanks for being on here.
Yeah.
Let's, I think one thing I've learned, and I'm sure you will agree or add to it, but it's just one thing at a time. Just instead of being overwhelmed by all that I want to work on myself, all I have to do in my life. Helen and I talked about that with just how much we both have going on. And it's just this moment of feeling so overwhelmed, you just don't do anything. So just pick one thing. And that's why I love the quiet time in the morning and taking 15, 20 minutes to just take audit of yourself and where you are, and then set your attention for the day. But if you have a lot to work on, which I think a lot of us do, just pick one thing. Let's just pick one thing right now.
Right?
Absolutely. I think that will also help our anxiety of, I don't even know where to start. So what happens is, I need to lose weight. I'm a mess mentally, spiritually. I don't know where I'm going to be, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm just not going to do anything.
Yes.
And that's absolutely what we don't want to do.
Right.
So pick one thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just right now I want to figure out where I am. Maybe it's just I want to write down my values. I want to figure out what's really important to me. Maybe it's just that for the next week I'm going to really pay attention to where I feel anxious. I'm going to write it down in my journal, write it on a piece of paper, write it down in your phone, dictate it. These are the times this past week that I felt anxious. Just maybe just start there. Any other tips before we?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say breathing is really important. But it does
calm you down for sure.
And it is, yes, and we do it all the time anyway. So
we just don't realize it. We're not being present about it.
Yes. So taking a second just to have some good deep belly breaths, whether it's a daily thing, that would be awesome. But maybe it's before you have a big meeting, or maybe it's before you go to bed. Maybe it's right when you wake up in the morning. But just some good deep breaths. And the other thing I would say is just gratitude. Just how about hugging yourself because you noticed that you have some anxiety that one day when you want to, you're going to work on it. But the noticing of it is so important. And just to give yourself a big hug and give your friends a hug that you are even trying to be aware that you have anxiety. I think that is a great place to start. So,
acknowledgement of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And loving ourselves for sure. And listen, when we're grateful, when we have gratitude, we have a lot less space for being worried or anxious or stressed or feeling mean or bitter or angry. When we are grateful for all that we have, or even we all have something to be grateful for.
Yes.
You might have to dig a little deeper if you're going through something really hard right now, but we can all be grateful for the little things. Like me being here, I'm very grateful to be here with you.
Yes,
Thank you for your time.
Thanks for coming to my home.
I love it, and I'm grateful for all of you guys for sharing and being a part of this and wanting to be better yourselves and wanting for your loved ones and your friends and everyone else to also be better. So it really means a lot to me. I thank you for being here. Thanks for being on here. All of you that are new. Tessa, Tessa's been on here before, but Haley, this might be your first time on here. I love seeing you today, girl. And Dee Dee, thanks for writing that down. Dee Dee put the email down. Hi, Catherine. My sister's on here too. Rachel said morning devotion is so great and helpful. Yeah, it sure is, Rachel. And again, another way of intentionally setting your mind right to start your day and being prepared. Love you guys. Thanks again, Helen.
Thanks, guys.
I'll see you guys Wednesday night. I'll be on live Wednesday, and then we'll talk about later what night I'll be on going forward. But tune in Wednesday night for some more great stuff. Love you guys. Happy Sunday. Be safe and be warm.